Yeah, good day, our viewers. My name is Evangelist Timothy Ofebu. I'm a certified marriage counselor and advisor. I am a Catholic.
How can couples better communicate and resolve differences before they escalate into irreconcilable problems?
Well, marriage, first of all, is for adults, not for boys and girls. Whenever any marriage is in crisis, which obviously must come, because marriage is not a bed of roses. I see of recently a video where a couple were having their marriage oath, and the pastor was leading them in oath. And the lady saying she's a believer in Christ, she will never ever say, for better, for worse, that my marriage is for better and for best. With all deep respect for her faith, I must say that she is still a baby in marriage, a 1 day old. Crises don't just come because you invite them. They come because naturally they ought to come. And some crises are meant to help couples to be more matured, not to divide them. Remember that these people, when they were courting, must have been pretending, kind of a dress rehearsal, covering their weaknesses, covering their flaws and their faults. Everybody was looking so nice, a gentleman and a Cinderella. But once they begin to live together, you will know that they have two opposite temperaments. They were raised from two different backgrounds. So definitely crisis will occur. So when there is crisis in a marriage that is leading to divorce, the first thing that the couple must do is to open up and engage themselves in a deep, honest communication. Not to judge, but to find solution. Not to blame, but to see how to blend. Not to accuse the other, but to see how to cement the marriage together. There is no crisis in marriage that have no solution if the couple can open up to themselves. Then after opening up and talking to themselves, they will invite people they respect to intervene. And let me tell you, from Catholic point of view, every marriage must have witnesses or those we call sponsors. Sponsors are older couples who must have been in marriage about 5 or 10 years before you in marriage. So they will bring their own. And you see so many people, especially the millennials and Gen Zs, they say, oh, I don't want anybody to come into my marriage. They will not come in if there is no crisis. But if there are crises, we Africans have our own internal resolution crisis management that will lead to good resolution. If the parents are there is nothing bad. Imagine your parents, the parents of the groom and the parents of the bride coming to settle a quarrel. Definitely they will come up with solution. So that is what I'm thinking. Then finally, the last but not the least, prayer. They ought to pray that God will give them the grace and the understanding to weather it. But if it's domestic violence, it's not just prayer. Something needs to be done to the aggressor. If the man that is raising the hand against the wife, I think government may come in.
Thank you. What are some effective strategies for couples to rebuild trust and intimacy after experiencing major breaches or betrayals in the relationship?
To rebuild trust is not easy. But I tell you that if you go to social media, I usually say to people, face your marital problems, don't Facebook it. Face it. Don't Facebook it. A little thing, quarrel with your husband, film on Instagram. A little misunderstanding with your wife, film on Facebook, looking for advice. And who are the people giving you advice? Granddaughters of Jezebel. Who are the people giving you advice? Lucifers, traditionalists, atheists, people that are not even married, or people who are not happy that other people are married. They will say, oh, if a man cheated on you, the best thing you can do is to do revenge cheating back. That's the only way. And I'm telling you, if you want sanity in your marriage, keep your marriage off social media. I can beat my chest that almost out of my 25 years in marriage, I am a social media activist with large number of followers. But you hardly see my wife and my children on there because it's none of your business. If we have problem, we have a way to resolve it as mature couples. So the best way to rebuild trust is for the person that is the offender to genuinely ask for forgiveness and make commitment not to go back to the same thing again. And we put all our eyes on only infidelity. Infidelity is not the issue alone that causes crisis in marriage. There are others. A woman might be lazy and refuse to cook for the husband. And so many people in this generation say, must a woman cook for the husband? Oh, of course. You're expecting the granddaughter of Jezebel to come and cook for him? Yeah, man can also cook for the woman. But let's be honest. When you have someone, couple that don't pay attention to each other, couples that are just there as intimate guests, sharing a hotel room, nobody is showing interest how the children are being raised and every other thing, there should be betrayal of trust because you are not playing your role or facing your responsibility as a spouse. If it happens, you have to admit your fault without any blame game. And it's after that word that the other person will forgive the offender genuinely and give the person a second chance. Not just anything, let's divorce, and calling my lawyer, and calling my doctor, see you in court. And it's not easy to divorce because once you find fault in the first partner, you will find double faults in the second partner and triple faults in the third partner. If you can't live with one man or one woman, how do you live with the number two or number three?
Okay, thank you. Okay, what role do external factors like financial stress, work pressure, and family dynamics play in contributing to marital discord and divorce?
The first role they play, I thought you would have started with social media. Social media is a cancer, a devourer, a cankerworm, caterpillar, and locust that is tearing down marriages today. Number one, many people we see on social media who are profiling their marriages are living fake lives. The reality is that what they show might not be the reality. They show themselves as happy couple. Then you see how this so-called celebrity keep divorcing over and over. So what happens to the good side they are showing us? What happens to the holidays they are projecting? Feeding their husbands in the mouth, kissing the wife in the public. Do you think me as an adult, I'm kissing my wife? Somebody is snapping us for me to post it on social media. What kind of a husband and a father am I? So I'm not against all these people showing it. And then another thing social media is doing is creating false reality that there is a perfect marriage there. And when they are receiving marriage crisis, the so-called online in-laws will come with their terrible, deadly, acidic advices, whereby they are asking the man or the woman to leave the other one. So people should be mindful what they read or see on social media. It may not be the best. There are good ones there. Then number two, career can be a barrier to harmony in marriage. When a man or a woman raises the bar of the career, vocation, or business above marriage, that person is not responsible. You see some people say, I'm doing my best to bring food, to bring money into this home. And then you will leave your wife for 1 month, for 2 months, for 3 months, and travel, roaming all about, maybe as a politician or as whatever you are, businessman or consultant. You see some women say, I'm an event planner, I am this, and you leave your home for 5 months, you travel without coming back home. The money you say you are bringing home is for the family, and you are not there for the family. You are not there for your husband. You are not there for your wife. You are not there for your children. Then what is the essence of the money? So you can't be an absentee father, an absentee mother, an absentee wife, and say that your marriage will work by proxy. That's why housemaids and nanny are now raising children for people. Some people have 4 nannies, and you are a mother, and you are alive. So what's your responsibility? You would have also asked the nannies to breastfeed your children for you and asked the husband to sleep with your husband. So this is utter rubbish. People must face their homes. Every home needs a man and a woman to be there for harmony and to raise the children. Now you talk about the families. Look, this is what even killed marriages in the Western world. When you begin to alienate families from marriages, you are finished. And that's where television comes in. A character of Patience Osonko called Mama G as mother-in-law have led so many young girls, especially the millennials and Gen Z, to think that an average mother-in-law is a wish. And they come into marriage with a mindset of war and say, I'm going to face my mother-in-law and my family people. But I say to you today, those of you that are listening to me, if you're a wife and you want your marriage to work and be happy, don't alienate your husband from his own family. I am a married man for almost 25 years. I have in-laws. I know their places. I have never seen them as strangers in my own home. But I have a boundary that they cannot cross. I have boundaries that friends cannot cross. I have boundaries that brethren cannot cross. But they are welcome. But in a situation whereby you see your brothers-in-law, your father-in-law, your mother-in-law, and the other people that they are troublemakers, what you think is what you get. It's builded in your conscience. By the way, I'm not saying that there are no bad family members, uncles and aunts and mother-in-laws and brother-in-laws and that can make trouble. But in a family where you have a woman that is tolerant and understanding, the love she shows them will overwhelm them. And where you have a man that can stand and be a man in a marriage, not a mango, a man that can stand and say, this is my family, mommy. This is my family, daddy. Thank you for your advice, but I don't need your interference now because I didn't interfere in your own. That marriage had a leader and it will live long.
Thank you. Okay. What are the most important elements of a healthy, thriving marriage that couples should prioritize nurturing over time?
Number one, teachability. When you see a man that can allow the wife to talk, to give advice, and they plan together, that marriage will work. But the problem with we African and Nigerian men is that before your wife can talk, some of us will say, no, keep quiet, this is not a woman thing. Oh, I know where you are going. It's okay, you are now talking. It's because it's my people that are involved. It's okay. Allow you. God gives your wife qualities that you must harness, that you must maximize. So allow your wife to contribute, to talk. Seek for advice. Believe you don't know it all. That's why when you see a man that can say, D, you are right. I'm wrong. I'm sorry. Thank you for this good advice. When you see a man that can say, I'm sorry. When you see a man that can say, please forgive me, it will not happen again. Women are not difficult to lead. It is women, some of us, that are very difficult to understand because of the cultural ethos that we grow with, that marriage is owned by a man and you use your money to go and pick a wife. It doesn't matter. The two has now become one. So there must be teachability on the side of the man and there will be adaptability on the side of the woman. The woman have to adapt. For instance, let's talk for funny issue like football. There is World Cup final. Your husband balanced to watch it with a bottle of a drink and you went and changed the channel to Z World. It means that you don't even understand what adaptability is all about. They will sleep together. Number two, they will talk together. You see step. Number three, they will eat together. And number four, they will plan together. That's the acronym of step. You sleep together, bedroom intimacy. You eat together. When people eat together, there is bonding in it. Okay? And then you talk to each other. Communication that is genuine, uninterrupted. There is what I usually jokingly call family conference with my wife. I wake up by 3 in the night, the last time, and we talk till 5 a.m. analyzing family, my character, her character, the children in school, our in-laws, our retirement plan. That's how to talk. And then you plan together. Don't just suddenly say to her, we're in Abuja. You wake up one day and say, I am tired of living in Wuse 2. We are now moving tomorrow to Tungamaji. We are moving tomorrow to one-man village. Or you did the plan, did the building without involving her, and like a piece of furniture, you want to move her out. She's a human being. If she resists that kind of plan, there was no planning together.
Okay, thank you. Based on your experience, what are the key factors that distinguish the marriages that withstand challenges from those that ultimately end in divorce?
Well, the marriages that end in divorce and the rapidity, the high percentage of divorce is so high today that even today in my office, we handled a case of a marriage that was contracted 2 weeks ago. By today, they've divorced. So what distinguishes them? They are very simple. Number one is preparations. So many singles today are desperate to get married. Some ladies, whenever they reach the age of 30, there will be this auto pressure in them, external pressure from parents, from relatives, and from friends. And they begin to talk once they are up to 35. My biological clock is ticking. My biological clock is ticking. Sister, if your biological clock is ticking, put it on silence. Mute it. Think, how do I maximize my life as a single? Being single is a blessing. It's a vocation. Love yourself before another man will love you. But when you enter marriage in desperation, in frustration, you are in a race with your own self, and so many things will go wrong. Same with men. Men, especially here in Abuja, Port Harcourt, and Lagos, are notorious, some of them, to be serial gold diggers. Let me say this. Any man that is not prepared to shoulder responsibility of a family, hoping that a wealthy girl working in NNPC, Central Bank, or an entrepreneur will begin to pay your bills, put you in her home, be giving you money every day, and buy a car for you to ride, you are a total disgrace to men. A singer said you have betrayed the brotherhood. It's not how your father was raised and your grandfathers. You are meant to take care of your wife and your family. Your wife, according to my own faith, Christianity, says, God says, I will give you a helper. You must have been tilling your garden, being productive before a helper will come. And women, listen to me. God said to Adam, I will give you a helper, not ATM card. So you don't come to marriage empty-handed. That's why I praise my sisters in the northern culture. They have their kaya things they carry to their husband houses, from furnitures to electronics to their clothes to their cosmetics, everything. They don't go empty-handed. They want to contribute. So you can't be a devourer. If you are a devourer from the beginning of the marriage, doing nothing, bringing nothing to the table, then something will go wrong. And another reason that distinguishes these two types of marriage, the one that will stay and the one that will not stay, what is your main attraction to the marriage? Any marriage that is built on body figure or the figures in the account details, one day you'll be figured out of that marriage, because it will not be there forever. That's why some girls are pumping their breasts with silicone, pumping their waist to be bigger than 4 Dangote cement. Why? Because they have nothing to offer, nothing to bring into the marriage except sexy figure. And if you use sex to build a marriage, time will come when your husband or your wife will be tired. Mike Tyson, who was a world champion in boxing, married a woman called Robin Givens. They just met, fell in love, married quickly, no background shake, no temperament shake. They didn't know so much about each other, which is still continuing today. And an interviewer asked Mike Tyson in a national television, what attracted you to this woman? And Mike Tyson said, her legs and her waist. And I'm asking you today, men, what attracts you to a woman? Is it the woman in her, the mother material, the wife material, how she will nurture you and the children, how two of you will age gracefully to your retirement age and date? Or do you see her as a social, artificial intelligence created sexy figure? Because some of them are not using their real pictures on social media. It's over-filtered. What you are ordering and what you are getting are not the same. And then because she's just showing you waist, she's wearing body pumps, humping her breasts up and down on TikTok and all these shows, and you because of it, you fall in love, you are finished. Because after 1 month, the whole thing will be empty. You notice she doesn't even know how to cook indomie. She doesn't know how to boil hot water. When you are mentioning a Dikaiko, she will think it's a capital city of a foreign country in Europe. She knows nothing. These are just township brought up that knew nothing about marriages. But you see the marriages that will not go down, you may start small. Let me say this to the whole world. When I met my wife, I was living in a boys' quarter. She was even working in NDLA. I can say she was earning more than me. But when I was asking her to marry me, after that we pray, seek the face of God. I did background check of her family. She did the background check of my family. We check our blood genotype. It matched. Check so many things, okay? It matched. And I say to her, I'm a hard-working Nnewi Anambra man. You will never be hungry in my home. And today, after 25 years, I kept to my promise. She married me when I'm in boys' quarter. But look at us today, living somewhere in Asokoro. So a marriage that will stand will first of all start small. It's not about money. Money will be a factor. Let the guy not be broke. Let the lady not be broke. But when you are looking for a man that is like Dangote Adenuga, looking for Obi Kubana and all these people we are seeing everywhere, my sister, you have to wait till the kingdom come. Of course, if you are looking for a man who is having everything, a man who is handsome, who is tall, educated, God-fearing, godly, a man who is too caring, giving you TLC, tender, loving care, I have good news for you. You will remain single because Jesus will be there for you. Jesus is tall, he's handsome, he's hardworking, he's wealthy, he'll give you tender, loving care. But if you are looking for a human being, if you see 50-60% of what you are looking for in a man, marry him. People grow in marriage. They grow in love. And look for the temperament of the man. When people understand their temperament, not easily anger, not somebody who will carry enmity and bitterness for months without releasing or forgiving. When you see all these little issues in courtship, you are heading for a trouble. Also look for a partner that will respect you. People talk about commitment. I say, without respect, there won't be commitment. You will not sleep with a friend of your wife because you respect her. And because you respect yourself. Your wife will not sleep with your brother or with your business partner because she respects you. It's respect that begets commitment. So it's not just saying he's not committed, he's not committed. Do you respect him? Do you respect yourself? And finally, the marriage that will stand look into future and said, together we will get there together by the grace of God. We are not perfect, but like snails, we are crawling little by little. After 25 years, I look back to the young girl I married. We have had our ups and downs, but together we unite. And I will say here to the public that because of our communication skills, talking to each other, forgiving each other when we had fault, no human being have come to settle quarrel for us for 25 years. I've not threatened her with divorce. She have not threatened me. And if we have stayed together like this for 25 years, I'm sure the next 25 years will even be better and brighter because we learn every day. There's no perfect marriage. We are imperfect couple that are in a marriage. We hope to be perfect to our own needs and our own condition as couples.
Thank you very much.
My name is Evangelist Samuel. I'm from Anglican Church. I'm also the founder of Kingmakers Ministry and Men After God's Heart. It's just like a small community where men are taught on how to be good men. Good men means a lot of things. A good husband, good entrepreneur. It's just a way of striking a balance in men. So that's who I am. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are aware that divorce is on the high these days, and that a lot of things has happened behind the scene, leading to divorce in various homes. Can you educate us to see some of the signs that young people, elderly people, married people can see and know that they are now heading towards divorce? Can you educate us?
Well, the truth is that the word divorce you mentioned is a very terrible thing. It is a kind of calling to a halt a project as good as marriage. And I would like to give a background before I profile a solution. If you want to get anything right, first of all, you look at the intent or the foundation. If you read the book of Genesis chapter 2 verse 18, God himself who made man. Okay, if you go a little bit, you'll find out when you read Genesis 1:26 and 27, God said, let us make man in our own image and in our own likeness. But when you progress further in Genesis 2 verse 18, the man he made, he looked at him and said, it is not good for a man to stay alone. Now, it means there are some certain things God discovered that is lacking in the man. There was no companionship, there was no helpmate, and he said it is not good for a man to be alone. So this is the foundation. God discovered a need that a man cannot be able to function alone or independently without a wife. And now when you follow that one to that area, then you come to also examine the marriage that has been successful. Like when you read 1 Peter 3 verse 16, the Bible says that wife should emulate Sarah, who called Abraham Lord. And now when you read Ephesians chapter 5, 22 to 23, that scripture specifies the role of a wife. What is expected of a wife? The role of a husband. What is expected of a husband? The same role that Sarah played that made her to call Abraham my Lord. The Bible says, wife, submit yourself to your husband. And to the husband, the Bible says, husband, love your wife. It's not something you just pick from the suffix. It is something you go into a deeper definition. What the Bible intends when the Bible says, husband, love your wife. It said, just like Jesus loved the church and gave himself. Now, you find out that it is even a bigger height of submissiveness. He gave his life to the church. So the husband in the marriage setting that we work, are you ready to give and give and give until you give your life for your wife? Now, the wife, submit yourself to your husband. Just as Sarah called Abraham Lord, are you ready to submit to an extent that your husband is your Lord. Remember, the word Lord should not be a way of maybe putting pressure on the woman and looking down on the woman, but God strike this balance so that in the long run, everybody will know what is expected from them in marriage. And once you understand this foundation, and once you understand this background, you find out that divorce may be difficult. Why I said divorce must be difficult is that, like I said, going to the foundation, if you want to build a house now, you find out that if you know that this house will be maybe 20-story building, there is something you must do in the foundation. If you don't do that, immediately you put that pressure of 20-story building, the building will collapse. And now, when one is thinking about getting married, because if you plan for your marriage, it means that the same time you are planning for your marriage is the same time you are planning not to encounter divorce. But if you don't plan your marriage and you just enter into marriage anyhow, you find out that you're also planning for divorce. Now, let me explain. Before a man gets married to a woman, now, first of all, you will say, what forms a person's character? There are about 6 or 5 prominent factors that forms a person's character. Number 1 is your temperament. Number 2 is your family upbringing. Number 3 is your environment. Number 4 are friends you keep. Number 5 are your motivation, which means the books you read and the message you listen to. And then your culture. Now, you find out that the marriage that works is when you, first of all, take a study. I'm not advising that a Christian cannot marry another faith. You can. But the truth is this. Just know that there may be a burden to be transferred. Because your motivation and the lady's motivation are not the same. Most times, again, you find out that I'm not saying that you should not marry out of your culture. But you see that in my place, I'm from Akokwa. If you marry a woman from Akokwa, you are from Akokwa. Most times, before that marriage will hit the rock, there will be several interventions. Either somehow, there is this connectivity and that exists in human being. You find out that all of them must first of all intervene. Even you know that if you divorce this woman, it will be a recurring decimal. What do you mean by a recurring decimal? If you go to village, you see her. And then you find out that it will help to cushion, it will help to prevent that divorce. Not that inter-tribal marriage doesn't succeed. You understand me? So that's the way I am looking at marriage, looking at the marriage from the foundation. What was God's intention for marriage? You must understand this. And what does God expect from the husbandman and from the wife? Once we can get this, you find out that the marriage will not have so much pressure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, well, can you expatiate on the role communication, among couples plays to make the marriage a healthy marriage?
Well, the role of communication, if you ask me to expatiate on that, is to bar naked. Just be yourself. Communication is so meaningful. If you want to see organic communication, you see communication that exists between a child and a father. Especially when I mean a child, somebody 5 years below. You find that there is this simplicity of pouring out himself or herself to the father. And that is what communication is. Don't make it to look so ambiguous. Don't lie over communication. Just be simple. And I know that most times, once there is trust through communication, which means your husband knows that you are saying the truth, your wife knows that you are saying the truth, it will build trust. And you find out that it will also bring this reality that there is this something Napoleon Hill said, that nobody had a monopoly of wisdom. It is when you try to make what is not to be, is when you start having problem. But when you come out naturally, so communication is bar naked, be yourself, be simple, and use simple method in communication. Do not create any ambiguity, and that is communication. It will help you to see that that marriage survive. It will help your husband to know there is this communication. Our cultural people say there is one king that always will come and tell the community, lion is coming, or lion is coming, they will run. Lion is coming, or they will run. The day lion was coming, he came to tell them again. They have started seeing that something was wrong with the communication of the king. They cannot be able to trust the king again. And all of them said, so they talk. And eventually, the lion came and killed the king. So make it simple, make it real, make it honest, and make it real. And that is what communication is all about.
Thank you very much. It is now very common fact that social media, what is happening in the social media, it is affecting the marriage adversely. A lot of men look at social media to get advice. A lot of women look at the social media. When I'm talking about social media, I'm talking about Facebook, I'm talking about Instagram, I'm talking about Twitter, X. I'm talking about platforms that people use their phone to log on to look at what is happening in the world. And most of the time, some of those things that happen there are not real. But we see that it is now playing a part, in activities in marriage and leads to divorce. How do you advise couples about, taking advice from social media? Because it plays a very significant role today, leading to divorce.
Okay, the truth is that even if you go during the time of Adam, life always have been facing with different type of challenges, and the era we are now is the era of social media. That is why the challenges that are popping up are coming from social media. There is this maturity that are needed before a man go into marriage, because you see, maturity is, a man is a training being, a man is a spirit, he has a soul and he lives in a body. Before anybody will talk about marriage, you must be matured spiritually, you must be matured psychologically, you must be matured bodily. And if these maturities unfolded in a man, you find out that you don't even need to tell the person, don't take advice from social media, because he has that maturity to be able, that even they always call a married man a responsible man. Why do they call him a responsible man? Because of his ability to endure, because of his ability to communicate, because of his ability to cater. These are what makes.
Okay, Sam. Can you start from that?
Okay, just like I said, marriage is a project, not even a light project. It's a very big project. Imagine somebody that has grown up and reached maybe the age of 30 or 32, and then you meet somebody that you've not known from Adam and say, I want to live with you. Even the people that you are from the same parents with, you always quarrel. Talk less of somebody from somewhere. So you should treat marriage as a project and a big project. The same attitude you deploy into a project, like there must be perseverance. You must be ready to endure and tolerate. There must be patience. There must be prayer. Your marriage it is not something maybe you prayed and get married and think that you are done with the prayer. It is a continuous prayer, and the genuine heartfelt prayer, and then you keep addressing any issue that come up in marriage. It is not a social media thing, my brother. Because social media has deceived a lot of people and have taken a lot of people into a situation where they eventually regret. Thank you so much.
Okay, can you give us a kind of advice to married people? You know, advise married people in the 21st century how to build a healthy marriage life and how to live happily. The final thing.
Well, the great essence of marriage is peace. The great essence of marriage is peace. Everybody that is getting married, the aim of every marriage is peace. You can see most of the things we read on social media, where a man was reading a text message and the wife came with a knife and stabbed him and killed him. You see that there is a misplacement of priority. And marriage is made to be enjoyed and not to be endured. That's why divorce is not good. But you see, there is this situation that happened with Osinachi, the gospel singer. And after that incident, everybody said, yes, it is good to endure, it's good to pray, it's good to persevere. But when marriage became so toxic, maybe it may be a time to separate. That's why even in our culture, the Igbo culture, divorce may be the last thing. There may be a time that things are no more working out. You buy, they take palm wine that time. You buy palm wine and take your wife home. Your wife may stay with your family for 3 months, 6 months. That is not divorce. And then after within that time, you find out that the family will be talking to the woman. In fact, there are many realities that may even be done on the woman. And then when the woman comes back again, you find out that most of those things may not be repeated again. And again, you see, please, let us be compassionate in marriage. The highest gift a man can have is a sympathetic wife. The highest gift a wife will have is a sympathetic husband. Somebody that may look at you and then even before you talk, have some level of justification and say, maybe he can't do this thing deliberately. He cannot do this thing deliberately. You have justified, you have even had sympathy with the person before the person starts talking. And again, we should always avoid third parties in marriage. Third parties can be needed sometimes, but we should not build marriage on third party, because you don't even know if the person that is informing you about your husband or your wife movement, whether the person is even lying to you or whether the person aim is to destroy that marriage. We should avoid third party. So if we can end peace and know that marriage is meant to be enjoyed, and then know that the greatest gift a man and a woman can have is a sympathetic husband or wife, and then we find out that we are good to go. But the most important thing in marriage is perseverance and prayers. Thank you.
I'm Mr. Ojinga Ochindo, United Nations Ambassador of Peace.
Wow, good to have you here with us, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, considering the passion you have for marriage and from our own end, the movie premiere of Granddaughter of Jezebel, which has been scheduled to take place on the 26th of May 2024 here in Abuja at Silverbird Galleria. I'd like to ask, what's your view, your take in marriage entirely?
Okay. I am a Christian, so my discussion will dwell more on the precepts of the Bible.
Okay, sir.
And from the Bible, we are made to understand that marriage as an institution was created or institutionalized by God himself. He was the first person that brought a woman to the life of a man.
Yes.
And so there is an injunction in the Bible that said that a man will leave his home and cleave to his wife, who is coming from another home. So they are coming together from two different backgrounds to make up one body. In marriage, 1 + 1 is equals to 1. in the outer world, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. And so marriage is premised on the ways of God,
Yeah.
because he wanted the two flesh to be one.
Okay.
That's my understanding of marriage.
Wow. So, with that being said, sir, would like to know what are the pillars? Like, what's that thing that makes marriage work? What are the pillars of marriage?
Okay. Just as I said earlier, it is God that started it. So there is no foundation that you can start with the marriage without God. So the first pillar you should think of in marriage is God.
Wow.
If God is in your marriage, then you know that you are setting it on the right track. Now, the God you are referring to, God is love. And if God is love, God heals, God provides, God protects.
Yeah.
That means love heals, love protects, love considers, love cares. That is the love that is supposed to exist between a woman and a man,
Wow.
husband and wife. So, what are the pillars then? God, number one. Then you are coming from two different backgrounds.
Yeah.
So, the next thing will be trust.
Wow.
Do you trust me? Do I trust you as my spouse? If yes is the answer, then we move on to the commitment. How committed are we in the marriage? How committed are we to the vows we have taken in the presence of God? That's another one. Then communication is another key issue that holds marriage. If you don't communicate with your person, if you don't communicate with your spouse, then your marriage is bound to fail.
Wow.
Because as humans, we are not spirit to even know what you are thinking as a human being.
That's true.
So the only way you can pass the information you have in you to the next person is through communication. And this communication we are talking about is not just about the verbal communication. If I enter this room now and I didn't talk to you and move around the room, I have communicated with you,
Yeah.
but I didn't say a word.
Yes, that's true.
Now it can send wrong signal to you or positive signal depending on what my posture is. Now if it is wrong signal, definitely it will affect the marriage, it will affect the relationship between us.
Definitely.
So those are the pillars: commitment, communication, trust, God, and love.
Wow.
But I didn't want to mention love because you have mentioned God,
Yeah.
and God is love.
Yeah.
So if you have God, you have covered love.
Wow. Amazing.
Thank you.
So, sir, thank you so much for giving us this insight. To go further, I would like to know, in our society today, these things are relatable to mostly the young wedded couple.
Yeah.
How do you, what's the major cause of divorce so far?
There are lots of things that can generate divorce. When once you don't do those things you vow to do, you have started signing the agreement to divorce.
Wow.
Now, if you are not communicating well with your partner, you are heading towards divorce. If God is not in your marriage and you want to do it on your own, you are heading towards divorce.
Yeah.
Now, if you are not committed to your marriage, commitments can lead to infidelity if you are not committed.
Wow.
If you don't like your partner and you're not committed with him or her, you can start misbehaving outside, looking after so many other things like women or men. Now, another thing that can also easily cause breakage in marriage is money, finance. Money, according to the Bible, the love of money is the root of all evil. But then, without money, because money is a lubricant, it's an influencer in marriage.
Yeah.
Now, if there is no money to maintain that relationship, it will surely head to somewhere that is not positive. So money is key in marriage. You need to take care of your spouses, you taking care of the man taking care. But there's one funny part to this finance you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
We have discovered in recent times that if a woman has more money than the man, it tends to erode the respect the woman will have on a man.
Wow.
So you need to be careful, even when you are rich. You need to be very careful to still keep your head on your neck, so that it will not influence your behavior towards your man or towards your spouse.
Okay. Wow. Like, I'm feeling refreshed because it's more like speaking to you about these things is making me learn and unlearn so many things I already have in my head already. So moving further, sir, how do you think young people or even the older ones in marriage can handle this thing called betrayal in marriage?
Okay. Betrayal is an attitude. It's a negative attitude that you portray towards somebody. You know, if somebody trusted you, you remember one of the pillars of marriage is trust.
Yeah.
And betrayal comes when you have eroded that trust. You have sold that trust that the person has on you. Now, if you betray somebody, it takes greater time for the person to rebuild that trust, that confidence.
Yeah.
So if the mindset of the people involved are not matured enough, it can destroy the marriage. It is only matured hearts can say, okay, let me just give the person a second chance. But if you are not all that matured, you cannot handle it. Then I just want to mention too that maturity in marriage is not age. We are not talking about age. I have seen several people that are older, more than 40, and they are still behaving like 20 years old people.
Yeah, that's true.
Maturity in heart to handle marriage is different from your age. I have seen younger people in age, and they are matured in heart and they handle marriages. They handle issues. Because I mentioned love earlier. The love that we profess in marriage, most times, especially the younger ones, the love they profess that we love each other, it is not that kind of love that sustains marriage.
Wow.
Now, why am I saying that? The pressure of marriage, that love cannot withstand it.
Wow.
Imagine that you marry into a family that you didn't profile well.
Yeah.
And along the line, you discover that family has a terminal disease in their lineage. Can the love you professed earlier sustain you in that relationship? You cannot. Imagine that you met your guy when he has some money to play around, and along the line, that money, he couldn't manage it well, and the money is no longer there. Can that love still be there? Can you still tell the guy that I love you when he has no money to maintain you? So the love we profess, especially the young ones, is not that love that keeps marriage.
Wow.
The love that keeps marriage is that love of God. That love that God is. That doesn't care about.
So, sir, thank you so much for throwing more insights about marriage. And considering the movie premiere that is scheduled for 26th of May at the Silverbird Galleria, the movie premiere of Granddaughter of Jezebel, I'd like to ask, please, sir, what's your advice to both the old ones in marriage, like the matured ones in marriage now, and the newly wedded?
Okay, I will say two things, and the two things, I think it will go for the two set of persons. The first thing I want to say is that people should communicate more in marriage. When you communicate more, it lessens the burden on the marriage. The pressure is taken away. Two, they should depend more on God. That is something God cannot do. Then, and a special advice to the younger ones. You see, handset or technology is one thing that is also enhance marriage. But we have discovered over time that instead of enhancing marriage, it's destroying marriages.
Wow.
Why am I saying so? In the handset or in technology, there is positive and negative side of technology. Now, Africans don't have strong culture that can withstand the civilization of technology. And so we tend to dwell more on what is happening outside than what is happening within us. Now, the only place we are exposed to things that are happening outside is through technology. And so that technology, if you're not strong enough to withstand that influence that is coming from outside, it will easily break you. it will easily break your marriage. Now, you will be surprised that the two of us can be, husband and wife can be in one room and they are not talking to each other for over hours. Why? Everybody is concentrating on your handset.
Yeah.
So, if you're concentrating on your handset, that shows clearly that you're not communicating with your spouse. And if you're not communicating with your spouse, you can imagine how dangerous it will be. Handset or technology, let me use that general word, is a one-way thing. It's not talking to you. You are always getting information. You are not communicating. Even if you want to talk to the handset, they only feed your input. The handset will always respond. It's not talking to you. Now, but when you talk to a physical person, when you talk, if you do talk something I don't like, I will respond. Even if I like, I will respond. Now, another thing we should also consider when communicating is, if you're talking to me, I'm not giving you attention. It kills your moral.
Yeah, true.
Now, if you are talking to me and I'm nodding my head, clearly shows that I am following what you're saying. Or I'm saying yes, no, yes. I'm responding to what you're saying. But if I just concentrate on my handset and you're talking, especially women, once they notice that you're not responding to their discussion, the trouble has started. The trouble has started. So, is the advice I will have to give. We should be careful on how we do it on handsets, especially. We should be careful on how we are committed to our marriages. We should be communicating more often to God and within ourselves.
Wow. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. We are looking forward to seeing you on the 26th of May 2024 at the Silverbird Galleria for the movie premiere Granddaughter of Jezebel.
I will surely be there.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.